The Integumentary System, a project done by Amy Paulino, Obed Rivera, and Gabriela Santa. The integumentary system is defined as an organ system that protects the body from many different kinds of damages, like abrasions from outside and loss of water. It may also provide waterproofing, cushioning, waste excretion, temperature regulating, and protection to deeper tissues. It is also an attachment site for sensory receptors. Epithelial tissues basically cover all external and internal surfaces of the body. Both the structures and coverings are adapted to the animal's environment and lifestyle. Epithelial tissues may be specialized for secretion, gas exchange, or temperature regulation, with receptors that receive sensory signals from the environment. This system is composed of various different structures, including skin, hair, nails, cuticles, toenails, scales, feathers, hooves, and exocrine glands. Each structure has its own unique function. Some of these functions include protection of the internal tissues and organs, keeping out infectious organisms, keeping the body from dehydrating, protection against abrupt changes in temperature, excretion of waste material through perspiration, protection against sunburn by secreting melanin, acting as a receptor for touch, pressure, pain, heat, and cold, generating vitamin D, the storing of water, fats, glucose, and vitamin D, maintaining the form of the body, protection of UV rays, and the generating of new cells to repair minor injuries. The skin is a thin layer of tissue that forms the outer covering of our bodies. It contains two layers, the epidermis and dermis. Even though the skin is just a few millimeters thick, it is the largest organ in our bodies. It accounts for about 12 to 15% of the total body weight, and the average person's skin weighs about 10 pounds and has a surface area of 20 square feet. The epidermis is the outermost covering of our bodies. It is mainly composed of epithelial tissue, containing roughly about 40 to 50 rows of stacked squamous epithelial cells. It is considered an avascular region, meaning it does not contain any blood or blood vessels and receives all its nutrients by diffusion of fluids from the dermis. It is composed of 5 layers: the stratum corneum, the stratum lucidum, the stratum granulosum, the stratum spinosum, and the stratum basale. It also contains various types of cells, some of them being keratinocytes, melanocytes, Langerhans cells, and Merkel cells. Melanin is the pigment that gives us our skin, hair, and eye color. It is synthesized by melanocytes at the basal layer of the epithelium. Its main function is protecting us against UV rays. Keratinocytes are the most predominant type of cell found in the epidermis. Its function is to produce keratin. These cells are produced by stem cells in the basal layer. They are responsible for completely replacing the epidermis every 4 to 6 weeks. Langerhans cells are antigen-presenting immune cells that are present in every layer of the epidermis except the stratum corneum. They interact with white blood cells to help with the immune responses by detecting and fighting pathogens that try to enter the body through the skin. This type of cell is easily damaged by radiation, and it only makes up 1% of the epidermal cells. Merkel cells, also known as Merkel-Ranvier cells or epithelial tactile cells, are oval-shaped mechanoreceptors essential for light touch sensations like differentiation of shapes and textures. These cells make up 6 to 10% of the epidermis cells. They are located between the keratinocytes in the basal layer and remain in contact with nerve endings. The dermis is a thick layer of living tissue below the epidermis. This is the tissue that forms the true skin. It is composed of dense irregular connective tissue and contains blood capillaries, nerve endings, sweat glands, and hair follicles, just to name a few. It can be divided into 2 layers, the papillary and the reticular layer. The thickness of the layer varies depending on the area of the body where it is located. Here we can find cells such as the fibroblasts, macrophages, and adipocytes. The hypodermis is the layer beneath the dermis, making it the last layer. This layer is the flexible connection between the skin and the muscles and bones beneath. It is also used as fat storage and insulation. Nails are defined as horn-like envelopes that cover and protect the tip of fingers and toes. They are made out of keratin. They are constantly growing from a deep layer of the epidermal tissue. Hair is a protein filament that grows from follicles found in the dermis. Their main function is protection. They are composed of columns of dead keratinized cells welded together. They have three major parts: the follicle, the root, and the shaft. We can find many different kinds of glands in our integumentary system. Sebaceous glands are usually connected to hair follicles and are absent in the palms of our hands and the soles of our feet. These glands produce oil that keep the hair moist and waterproofs the skin. The sudoriferous glands have two different types, the apocrine and the eccrine. The apocrine kind is found in the axilla, pubis, and areolas. These ducts open into hair follicles and begin to work at puberty to produce a thicker secretion than the eccrine type. They are stimulated during emotional stress and sexual excitement. The eccrine kind is found everywhere except for the margins of the lips, nail beds, genitals, and eardrums. These ducts terminate at pores at the surface of the epidermis. We contain a larger number of these pores in our palms and our soles. They also tend to secrete more water than the apocrine kind. Some medical issues regarding the integumentary system are cyanosis, jaundice, erythema, melanoma, eczema, acne, and scabies.